Guys, welcome to today's video. Today we're doing another foundation video, and this one is called Laura Mercier Real Flawless Weightless Perfecting Foundation. So many words, so little time. It's vegan, it's long wearing, it's waterproof, it's liquid, and it's medium coverage. Unfortunately, they don't tell us what skin types this is intended for. However, they do have bamboo powder in this, and bamboo powder is what was in the Gucci, which I think is all about the long-lasting nature, and I think it's also tied into oxidizing. So we'll be talking about that throughout the video. We're going to be doing a 3-day wear test. Today is day 3. On the first day, you'll see me apply in real time all my products. I mean, I'll be editing it, but you'll see my initial thoughts on the experiences that I'm having, how it's wearing on my skin, and how it's reacting to cream products, powder products, etc. But before we get into that, I need to tell you a little bit about my skin, because what I'm going to say may not matter to you if your skin is different. One, and most importantly, my skin is 60 years old. I'm not, but my skin is. I don't feel 60, but 60-year-old skin is older skin, and as we know, as we get older, we get lines and wrinkles, and I have some. I've got some lines on my forehead that are becoming more prominent, and I have this slightly raisin, like shrunkening kind of thing right here that I've had for a couple of years, but it's moved, it's migrated, it's grown, and I have some over here too. So this is beginning to be a little bit of a tricky zone for me. My skin type, in actuality, what really matters, I suppose, is it's dry. So it doesn't matter if you're 20 or 60, if you have dry skin, what I'm going to say in this video may be more helpful to you. I try to keep in mind other people's skin types, though. I try to think about what would oily skin think of this, what would normal skin or combo skin think about this. So hang on, you know, if you're interested in seeing a review. And yeah, skin's dry, doesn't produce as much oil, ceramides, hyaluronic acid, collagen and elastin, all that stuff. It keeps young skin bouncy and vibrant and taut and line-free. Me, not so much anymore, so I put a lot of those things on my face. I have an extensive morning program. I'll put right here so you can get an idea of what I'm doing beforehand. And I wear sunscreen every single day. We're wearing 3 different sunscreens for this video. Let's get into day 1. Welcome to day 1. I have all my skincare. I have my Tula Mineral Magic sunscreen on, and it's been drying for a while, so it's been probably 20 minutes. I want to get this on my face before my face gets dry. And I have the color Cashew. I just saw, oh, they didn't give me a lot. I just saw Michelle Wong do her video with this color, and she said, oh, this color is a little too yellow for me. And I am reminded that this is the reason I've never gotten into Laura Mercier, because her colors are a little too yellow. Ew, it's kind of weird. See how that's kind of patchy? I mean, I can rub it in, but there's something interesting, odd about this. It feels almost, I don't mean this in a bad way, it feels almost greasy. If you have a great formula and a great color, people will think it's your skin. And once in a while, I've gotten compliments like that. Your skin is so beautiful. And I'm like, I wear makeup. Those are the compliments I want. But if the color's wrong, no one's going to say, your skin is so beautiful. So I'm shearing this out quite a bit. Maybe it'll work. Okay, now it looks better. It looks great on the forehead. Check that out. Really, really pretty. Very smooth. And you know what's interesting, you guys? Check out the sheen on this cheek and the sheen on this cheek. They say this is a natural finish, but I would say that if I powdered this, I might get a matte finish out of it. So that's interesting. I'm always happy to find a matte for something more fancy, like the evening. But this isn't a full coverage foundation, although the amount I'm putting on, I think I'm getting pretty decent coverage. And in this light, it's very, very cloudy today, but in this light, my neck, which is my lightest area, looks a little darker to me. So I think I will go get a couple of more samples today for the other wear tests. So now, yeah, when I'm looking in the mirror, I'm like, yeah, that is really, let me pull this shirt up a little bit. Lightest part, even lighter. So this is definitely a little too light for me. Not to worry. Let's just talk about what we have in front of us. This is super, super pretty. It is very promising. Just want to get the nose well done because I have a feeling this will set up. And I want it to set up right. All right, I'm going to give this a few minutes to set, and then we will go on with some cream and powder products. All right, I just did a little bit of concealer, and everything seems kind of set up. I'm going to go in with my Rougher 37 and the Provence. This is Laura Mercier color, cream, and I'm just picking it up with my brush, and I wanted something really neutral today. Yeah, everything looks fine. There's no picking up, no problem at all. And now for powder, I'm going to go with a little bit of the Charnel. I'm really not sure what I'm doing today, makeup. But I know I want to do powder and I want to do cream. No pulling, no skipping. Plays well with others. Super nice. So let's try a bronzer, a powder bronzer. I'm going in with the Jones Road in light. Okay, I feel like I've gotten some sun. And I do have some sheen on my face, but it doesn't feel as sheeny as my usual fare. But I am going to nonetheless go on with my By Terry powder. And now it really does have that skin-like finish because it's not a flat matte. I see a little bit of a sheen here, but not a horrible amount on my forehead. I'm sure in a few minutes, though, as often is the case, we'll come back and find it a little bit more shiny. So again, I'm going to turn off the camera and I'm going to do some eyeshadow and we'll see what it looks like in 10 minutes. So I just did my brows and a little eyeshadow and that's it. And I put a little more of the bronzer. I didn't add, but my chin was kind of popping out as a little too light, a little too incongruent with what's going on here. But what do I think so far? Not much of that sheen has come back. Let me just move in a little bit. When I move in, I'm closer to the light, so I'd rather pull in with my, editing so you can see what's going on. I think it's very, very pretty. I'm actually excited about this. I really am. We'll see how it wears. And when I come back tomorrow for my second day, I hope that I'll have another color. But this is the color Cashew, so if you are a little bit lighter than me, this might work very nicely for you. There's a little bit of a yellowness to it, but it's not too yellow, I don't think. I feel like my neck right here, where there's no redness, is actually more yellow than what's on my face. That's what I'm seeing, but I could be wrong. But yeah. It doesn't feel dry to the touch, but it feels set to the touch. You know how when something feels wet? this doesn't feel soaking wet, but it also doesn't feel dry. So we'll also see, does it start to feel dry later on in the day? Does it need a little bit more time? Or is this going to be it? Otherwise, it's pretty comfortable. No pins and needles, no fragrance, thank the Lord, and nothing weird to mention except for how it was a little bit smeary on this side. And that could have been something to do with my sunscreen. All right, so that is day one. So far, I think it's incredibly promising. I especially love the way it's looking on the forehead. Not 100% sure, like right here, is it just that I haven't powdered it, or are my eyes deceiving me? My poor old eyes. Let's see, there's hardly any powder on it at all. Yeah, it looks better. So maybe it's just the light reflecting off of it, that slight sheen, it's making it read to my eyes as it's kind of acting strange. All right, so day one, back at you in a flash. There's day one. Now we're going to go to day two. Before I put on the makeup, I'll talk about my experiences on day one. You guys, welcome to day two. I took notes. I'm going to tell you a little bit about day one. First of all, let's talk about the color. I thought that it was a little too light for me, but it actually warmed up. And I wonder if it's the bamboo powder. It got a little bit deeper in tone and a little bit warmer in tone. And that's something I thought you might want to know. About, let's see, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours after I put it on, I put on my readers, which are 200x, and I looked in my magnified mirror, which I think is about 5x, maybe 8x, and wanted to see what was going on. And it was a little weird around the nose. I don't think it's something that anyone would have seen with a naked eye, but it kind of got, you know, weird right there, and a little weird above the lip, but I have some hair I haven't shaved in a while, and that could have something to do with it. I also had wished that I had a little bit more coverage on the tops of my cheeks, so I think today I'm going to build a little bit and see what's going on. I could see some of my capillaries on this side more than anything. I may have mentioned that I was considering going to Sephora and getting another color, but I didn't after I saw that it warmed up after an hour or so. But I'm not sure they gave me enough, so I might have to go back anyway and just do another color. I'm going to do some swatches for you, comparisons to some of my other things, so you'll get an idea of what this color is like. But first, let's go on. And today I am going to do a brush. So I'm just going to dot some on. And I'm using a different sunscreen. I'm using the Dr. Jart Everyday. I don't love this, and it does leave the skin a little bit white, which you may or may not be able to see. I'm just trying to go through it so I can, you know, put it in my empties. And let's see what's going on. It's been set up for, oh my God, it's been set up for half an hour. Now, I feel like I'm going to get less coverage with a brush. You know, that's usually how it goes. And I'm just going to use the tip of the brush around that nose, rub it to see if that helps at all. Also, I didn't take this off until 11 o'clock at night, so 12-hour wear. I didn't look in the magnifying mirror to see what it looked like before I washed my face, but it was there. It was 100% on my face. So it is long wearing. I didn't exercise yesterday. I didn't take Gracie out for our hike. But still, it was more like your average person. I imagine. I mean, I'm assuming your average person doesn't go out for an hour-long hike every day. Wearing their makeup anyway. It looks very, very pretty. So it shears out very nicely when you use a brush. It might even look more pretty, honestly. Okay, so I did rub a little bit off with my nose action, but let's do a little bit of building on the cheeks. It builds beautifully. So for me, what that means is sometimes when I build, it just looks like I didn't rub in my makeup. Like, oh, you got a patch of foundation over here. But this doesn't give me that look. I think it looks really pretty. So I'm going to pull you in. I'm not going to go closer to the camera because the closer you get to the lights, the more blown out everything is and you lose the detail. So cutting in, and remember I sheared out more on this side, on the sides, and built on the cheeks. So I'm taking the hot and flashy, but I love the rougher as well. You know, let's do the rougher. This is the 36 brush, and it's just perfect for crevice work. So hours from now, it won't look scary. I feel like it's super pretty. It's still very pretty. And I think what I'll do is fast forward through everything that I'm doing because this is going to be a super long video if not. So I'm going to start with some creams. So I just added another blush. This is in Cranberry because I ended up using the Mitzvah palette and I just felt my face looked a little overwhelmed by the color on my eyes, and I did that on top of the powder. So I saw no issues. There were no incongruities between anything. I did the Kosas powder and then put the cream on top of it, and there's no problem at all. It plays well with others, 100%. And it looks, I think, very, very pretty on the skin. Now, before I finished up, I did some swatches, and these are not wet, wet, wet. They've had about 10 minutes to dry down, so they could change a little bit more. This color, right across here, is the Givenchy Prism Libre Glowing in 3N250. This right down the middle is Cashew in the Laura Mercier. Then across this way, so I did some on each side. Gracie's getting into her crate, is the House Labs in 160, which I feel is a little too peach for me. The one after that is the Clé de Peau Radiant Cream, and this is the new color I got, B20, which I feel is a little bit too dark for me right now, but will be very nice for me come summer. And the color right after that, the final color right here, is the Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin Foundation. It's this one right here in the shade 4N. And in comparison, I feel like that one has a little bit of an olive undertone. So there's some color ideas for you. Alright, so it plays well with others. I'm loving the way it looks on my skin. I do feel right now it's a little bit too light, but it will deepen up in the next 20 minutes or so. And if time allows, it's hard for me to come back and say, okay, this is what the color looks like now, because I do use natural light. So what it looks like in 20 minutes, you may not be able to see the difference, even if there is a change, because the sun will be in a different position. We'll have different level of clouds today, so the sun's coming in and out. So I don't think I will be able to show you that, but I will tell you that it does deepen up and get a little bit warmer. And if you're interested in the makeup that I'm wearing today, or the makeup that I'm wearing on any of these days, I always list them down below in the description box. Day 1, day 2, day 3, and you know, just in case there's something that just really does it for you. I'm not wearing anything on my lips. They have a lot of color today. All right, next up is day 3, and I will talk about how this worked with this foundation, if I had any crevices stuff, what I think about the brush application at the beginning of day 3. Day 3, which is this right here. I put on my makeup before I talked about what my experience was the day before words. So you'll see me talk about the day before with my makeup on, and then we're just going to bust in and show you little bits. There is some kind of thing flying here of me applying, because you've already seen by now. All right, I just did day 3, and I forgot to tell you what day 2 was like. So after I finished shooting, I decided, let me try doing this with this and really powder down, because there was so much sheen. And I find, because this is not translucent and imparts color, it kind of looked a little wonky. The forehead looked okay. It oftentimes does, but I thought the cheeks look a little bit cakey. So I would say, for me, this isn't something that you want to powder heavily. A very light dusting of powder is a better idea. I had to work really hard with a beauty blender, and then I did a spray and some more beauty blender, and it looked a little here and here where I added a lot of powder, so that's not great. I did go for a hike yesterday, and I did get a little bit sweaty. I didn't touch anything. I decided, let's just let it do it on its own. Oftentimes when I sweat a little bit, I'll blend it in. And it remained on the skin, and it looked really good, and it stayed until I washed it 12 hours after I put it on. So today I put it on in a slightly different way. I used the beauty blender, and rather than straight up and down, I used it to stretch out the foundation, and this is more light coverage, but the coverage is still very good. And then I added right here. Today I'm wearing the Can Make sunscreen. So the first day was the Mineral Magic, I believe. The second day was the Dr. Jart. And today is the, oh my God, the Can Make. And it's working very well. This might be my favorite application, actually, with the Can Make. Interestingly enough, they're very different formulas. There's no dimethicones, I don't think, in this one. And I think the skin looks really, really nice. I have to say also, yesterday when I looked at a 10X with my glasses on, I again didn't love the way it looked right around here. And I think that that is, you know, this is a high aging point for me. And the skin's beginning to get that shriveled up, icky look. And above the lip, you know, lip lines the whole thing. But when I use less foundation, it looks a lot nicer. So I think if you want more coverage, the better way to go is to do a couple of thin layers. Today, thin layer all over, and then add it here, and add it here, add it here, and it looks a lot nicer than going on heavy with this one, if you have, like I do, older skin. And yeah, so that's how it wore for the 2 days. I'm sure it'll wear just the same today. I don't have a problem with wearability, and I don't have a problem with it working with cream products, with fingers, or with beauty blender, or with a brush, or with powder products. Even though there's a sheen on the face, it's still set, and I could go on with powder products first without worry. You guys, I am back. It is like 2 hours later, and I have these really deep balconies that I have gardens on, and we had an atrocious amount of rain, and I couldn't figure out why my fern was dying. And I looked in, and I found that it was sopping wet. The water was all the way to the top, and I decided I need to pour that out because it stunk, and then I had to go downstairs and water everything away with soap, and my hose broke. So I'm wondering, why is there no pressure going on here? And all of a sudden I looked on the other side of the stairs, see this plume, and I had to go through it to turn it off and throw it away. So I don't know if you can tell, but I'm wet and it's cold. And I thought this is a good test to see what's going on with the foundation. I mostly got wet this side of my face. I mean, sopping wet. It's still here. It is waterproof. Some rubbed off on my nose, but that could be me with my glasses and everything, because I have been doing other things since then. So yeah, I mean, I didn't jump into a pool, but I was hit with a strong force of water, just like, phew, and I had to walk through it to turn it off, and it's still on my face. I think the color right now is not so good because I just have my LED light on and it's completely dark outside, but you can see, I hope, nothing broke down. I'm just looking at Grace. She's like, I had to take off my slippers to clean them because they got that stinky water on them. But yeah, I mean, waterproof so far, and it really does look nice. Again, the rub off from my glasses, that's just the way it is. But the more I wear it, the more I like it, and the more I think this color actually works for me. All right, back to the rest. So let's tick all the boxes. Who do I think this would be good for? This would be good for people with combo skin, people with normal skin, and people with dry skin, as long as you moisturize well. Because of the bamboo powders, I have a feeling that if you don't do a lot of moisturizer and sunscreen and a barrier, you might find it to be drying. Also, because of the bamboo powder, I think it's possible it would be fine with oily skin. However, the feeling to the finger is a little greasy. It's not greasy, but it feels greasy. So I don't know if oily skin people will dig that. But if you are oily skin and you use a brush or a beauty blender and you never use your fingers, you probably won't know that it has an oily feeling about it. Does it wear well? Yes. Does it wear for a long time? Yes. They say it's waterproof. Is it? Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I wasn't in the rain and I didn't splash my face with water to see. Is it something I would put on to go swimming? I don't know. But I did sweat a little bit and it went through the sweat without a problem. A little sweating on the cheeks. So yeah, it does. It's comfortable, it looks better on the skin if you are older. If you do light layers, it builds very well, and I think the color is very decent. It will get a little bit darker as the day goes on, but I think it's not too terrible. I don't think the price is too outrageous. The Gucci was $69 and I think this is $49, which is right down the middle. You could call it high-end but not luxury at Sephora. That's a decent price for a lot of people, and I think that it would probably last you for a while because I don't think I used a whole lot of it, but because I used a sample instead of a bottle, I'm not sure, how much the pump gives. And yeah, this is what it looks like. And I think it's very nice. If you're looking for something new, if you want something that is absolutely going to last you for a long time, and they claim waterproof, this might be a way for you to go. If you have a skin type, probably the happy zone would be normal to combo, just in between the two extremes. This might be something that you like. And that's going to wrap up today's video, you guys. Thank you so much for spending time with me. I hope it was helpful, and I hope you come back again. Please consider subscribing to the channel, giving me a thumbs up, and everything's listed down below each day what I wore. Feel free to use my links. It helps me stay here and helps pay for the products that I'm buying. And until we meet again, ciao.